The United Nations has issued a stark warning. Our planet is facing an existential crisis. This crisis is not just a distant threat looming on the horizon. It is a reality that is unfolding right before our eyes. The signs are everywhere, and they are impossible to ignore. The land, the very foundation of our existence, is drying up at an alarming rate. Once fertile fields are turning into barren wastelands, and rivers that once flowed freely are now reduced to mere trickles. The impact on our ecosystems is profound, disrupting the delicate balance that sustains life on Earth. This is not a problem for the distant future. It is happening now, and its consequences are already being felt around the world. From the parched landscapes of Africa to the drying reservoirs in North America, the evidence is clear and undeniable. Communities are struggling to cope with water shortages, and the ripple effects are being felt in every corner of the globe. For decades, we have witnessed the gradual creep of deserts, the expansion of arid and semi-arid regions. This phenomenon, known as desertification, is not just a natural occurrence, it is being exacerbated by human activities. Unsustainable agricultural practices, deforestation, and overgrazing are all contributing to the degradation of our land. This process, known as aridification, is accelerating, driven by human activities and a changing climate. The burning of fossil fuels, industrial pollution, and the relentless pursuit of economic growth at the expense of the environment are all playing a role. The result is a vicious cycle where the land becomes less productive, leading to further exploitation and degradation. The implications are profound, threatening the very fabric of our global food security and the livelihoods of billions of people. As the land becomes less fertile, crop yields decline and food prices rise. This creates a domino effect, leading to increased poverty, hunger, and social unrest. The most vulnerable communities are hit the hardest, with limited resources to adapt to the changing conditions. The science is clear. We must act now to address this growing crisis. Researchers and scientists around the world are sounding the alarm, urging immediate and sustained action to mitigate the impacts of climate change. This is not just an environmental issue, it is a matter of survival for humanity. The choices we make today will determine the future of our planet. The future of our planet and the well-being of generations to come depends on our collective response. We owe it to our children and grandchildren to take bold and decisive action. This means rethinking our relationship with the environment, embracing sustainable practices, and reducing our carbon footprint. It is a daunting challenge, but one that we must face head-on. We must heed the UN's warning and take decisive action to combat aridification and mitigate its devastating impacts. This requires a coordinated global effort with governments, businesses, and individuals all playing their part. By working together, we can restore our land, protect our ecosystems, and ensure a sustainable future for all. The time to act is now, before it is too late. Over the past 3 decades, a staggering 3/4 of Earth's land surface has become noticeably drier. This alarming trend is not confined to any one region. It is a global phenomenon with far-reaching consequences. From the sprawling savannas of Africa to the fertile plains of North America, from the steppes of Asia to the outback of Australia, aridity is tightening its grip. Regions once teeming with life are slowly transforming into parched landscapes, their delicate ecosystems pushed to the brink. This transformation is particularly evident in regions already susceptible to drought and water scarcity. The Mediterranean basin, the Sahel in Africa, and parts of South America and Central Asia are experiencing increasingly severe and prolonged droughts. These events have devastating impacts on local communities, leading to crop failures, water shortages, and forced migration. The implications of widespread aridification for global food security are profound. Agriculture, the backbone of human civilization, is heavily reliant on water availability. As vast swaths of land become drier, our ability to produce food is being severely compromised. Staple crops like maize, wheat, and rice, which form the foundation of diets for billions of people worldwide, are particularly vulnerable to drought conditions. Reduced rainfall and increased evaporation rates lead to stunted growth, lower yields, and, in extreme cases, complete crop failures. The consequences of declining agricultural productivity are far-reaching. Food prices rise, making it increasingly difficult for the poorest and most vulnerable populations to access nutritious food. Hunger and malnutrition become more prevalent, leading to a cascade of health problems and social unrest. Section 4. The Human Hand, Climate Change and Aridity. In this section, we delve into the intricate relationship between human activities and the increasing aridity of our planet. The evidence is clear and compelling. While natural climate variability plays a role in aridification, there is overwhelming scientific consensus that human activities are the primary driver of this alarming trend. The data collected over decades points to a significant human fingerprint on the changing climate. The burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and other industrial activities have drastically altered the composition of our atmosphere. Unsustainable agricultural practices are releasing massive amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and altering Earth's climate system. These gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane, create a blanket around the Earth, preventing heat from escaping into space. These changes in global climate patterns are disrupting rainfall patterns, leading to more frequent and intense droughts in many parts of the world. Regions that once enjoyed regular rainfall are now experiencing prolonged dry spells, affecting water availability and agricultural productivity. Rising temperatures exacerbate the problem by increasing evaporation rates, further drying out soils and vegetation. This not only impacts crop yields but also threatens the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on agriculture. The link between human-caused climate change and aridification is undeniable. Scientific studies have repeatedly shown that the areas most affected by aridification are also those with the highest levels of greenhouse gas emissions. Unless we take immediate and decisive action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, we can expect this crisis to worsen significantly in the coming decades, with potentially catastrophic consequences for humanity. The time to act is now. We must transition to renewable energy sources, implement sustainable agricultural practices, and protect our forests to mitigate the effects of climate change. The future of our planet depends on the choices we make today. Section 5. A thirsty future: population growth in drylands. Adding to the urgency of the situation is the projected growth of the human population, particularly in regions already facing water scarcity. These areas, often characterized by their harsh climates and limited natural resources, are home to millions of people who rely on fragile ecosystems for their survival. As the population increases, the demand for water, food, and other essential resources will rise, putting immense pressure on these already vulnerable regions. By 2100, the number of people living in drylands is expected to double, placing even greater strain on already limited water resources. This rapid population growth will not only exacerbate existing water shortages, but also lead to the over-extraction of groundwater, further depleting these critical reserves. The expansion of urban areas into previously uninhabited drylands will also contribute to the degradation of natural habitats, threatening biodiversity and the delicate balance of these ecosystems. This confluence of factors, increasing aridity, population growth, and climate change, creates a perfect storm for conflict and instability. As water becomes scarcer, competition for this vital resource will intensify, leading to disputes between communities, regions, and even nations. The resulting social and political tensions can destabilize entire regions, making it even more challenging to address the underlying issues of water scarcity and environmental degradation. Competition for dwindling resources, such as water and arable land, can exacerbate existing tensions between communities, leading to displacement, migration, and even violence. Farmers, who depend on consistent water supplies for their crops, may find themselves unable to sustain their livelihoods, forcing them to abandon their land and seek opportunities elsewhere. This mass migration can strain urban infrastructure and services, creating new challenges for cities already grappling with their own resource limitations. Addressing this challenge requires a multifaceted approach that tackles both the root causes of aridification and its immediate consequences. Reforestation efforts can help restore degraded landscapes, while water conservation projects can improve the efficiency of water use in agriculture and other sectors. Sustainable farming practices, such as agroforestry and soil conservation, can enhance the resilience of dryland ecosystems and support the livelihoods of local communities. We must act now to mitigate climate change, promote sustainable land management practices, and invest in innovative solutions to improve water use efficiency. By harnessing renewable energy sources such as solar power, We can develop technologies that provide reliable access to water in even the most remote and arid regions. Community workshops and education programs can empower local populations to adopt sustainable practices and become stewards of their environment. Together, these efforts can help build a more resilient future for drylands and the people who call them home.